Good morning and welcome to Radio Friends on Friday, January the 5th, 2018. Pleasure to have you with us today. Got Gary Wunder is with us from the National Federation of the Blind. Good to have you here, Gary.
Great to be here. Thank you.
And Happy New Year to you.
Absolutely.
Now, yesterday was World Braille Day, is that right?
Absolutely.
So what was the purpose of World Braille Day?
Well, World Braille Day is to bring attention to the idea that Braille is as essential for blind people as print is for sighted people. We're fighting something of what we call a Braille crisis because people believe that Braille is strange and foreign, and so they try to get blind people to use audio instead of Braille. And the trouble is that with audio, you never learn things that you would learn if you used Braille or print. For instance, I know that you had spelling tests, but a lot of what you know how to spell comes from the fact that you've seen words again and again on a printed page. Mm-hmm. I know that you know some punctuation rules, but when you write, a great deal of what you write, punctuation-wise, has to deal with what you've seen from good writers. That's how you've learned. If you use audio reading, as wonderful as it is for car trips, as wonderful it is when you're taking a bath or couldn't use regular print or Braille, audio is not sufficient. And so what we are working really hard on is to see that blind kids get Braille, and too often they don't. So sometimes we've had to start volunteer programs to do what should be done in the schools.
Well, learning Braille is the equivalent of a young person learning to read and write, correct?
Absolutely. And without it, as sad as it sounds, blind people can grow up being illiterate. They may know a great deal about who's written what, but they don't actually know. They don't have enough literacy skills to function even as a switchboard operator or a message taker or a receptionist. So
I had never thought of it that way, that Braille, it's so important for a blind person to learn Braille just as it is for anyone else to learn to read and write. Is Braille difficult to learn?
No. I learned it just as fast at 6 years old as my brothers and sister learned to read print. And it was wonderful to realize that those letters in Braille were the same letters that my brothers and sisters were learning, that CAT was still cat, DOG was still dog. It was just phenomenal. I mean, I would touch their print and it would just be smooth like this table. Mm-hmm. And I could not figure out how my mother and father could read me stories. And they would be the same stories all the time because I'd check them word for word. They were obviously doing something magic, but I could not feel on their paper what was there. But when I saw Braille, I realized that I too could learn to read and write. And now, of course, I use the skill every day because I'm an editor.
So with Braille, you have the ABCs in Braille.
Absolutely.
The words are spelled identical as if you were reading them off of a page.
Exactly. Now, since Braille is a little bit bigger than print, there are some symbols that are words themselves. For instance, it's almost like a court reporter. You have lots of words in the English language that appear over and over again. So we have a special sign for the word FOR, a special sign for the word THE. So those can be written out letter for letter, or they can also be abbreviated or put into Braille shorthand, which we call Grade 2 Braille.
Yeah. Now, you have a Braille machine in front of you. Is that right? Is that a Braille machine?
Yeah, it's called a Braille note.
A Braille note. And what are you doing with that?
Well, I'm writing little crib notes so that I can talk with you and not get off subject, get all carried away with what I'm saying. So, for instance, I've written Braille program, a Bell program, which is our little 4 to 12-year-old teaching that we do of blind kids who don't get enough Braille in the public schools. When I've read that line of Braille, I push a button, which is right here, a thumb key, and all of a sudden, just like scrolling to a new screen, the display changes. And when the display changes, I run my hands over the same real estate, but now that real estate has different dots popping up, just like you keep looking at the same glass, but when you scroll, the glass doesn't say the same thing anymore.
Yeah. So you can take dictation with that.
I could.
In Braille, and then you can play it back in speech, correct?
I could play it back
in
speech.
So if I say something to you, Oh, you can type it in Braille.
You're going to test me.
I'm
All
going
right.
to test you
Hey,
right
let's
now.
have some fun.
Okay, I'm going to say something, and then you're going to type it and play it back.
You bet.
Okay. What can I say here? Okay, Gary, it's a real pleasure having you on Radio Friends today. How do you feel about that? Okay, now he's typing that in Braille.
Okay.
Okay. Did you get it?
I think I got it.
Okay, now
How do you feel about it? It's a real pleasure having you on Radio Friends today. How do you feel about that?
Okay, it said how not you feel about that. I made a mistake. It
That's
should
okay.
be how do. So I'll correct it, and I'll do it again.
It's a real pleasure having you on Radio Friends today. How you feel about that?
Yeah.
I think I like my voice even better in the machine.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
So how long would it take a sighted person to learn Braille? Would you learn Braille faster as a blind person than a sighted person would?
Well, you might have more motivation to learn it. I don't think you'd learn it faster. I think the age at which you learn it is critical. I could teach you Braille. I could teach you every letter of the alphabet if we worked together for a couple of days. I can never teach you to be as proficient in Braille as I am. And the same thing is true if I try to teach you a foreign language. You can learn a foreign language, and I can learn a foreign language, but I'm 62, and I don't learn it as fast as I would learn it if I were 6. So what we've got to do is we've got to get kids exposed to Braille early so that not only do they learn it, but they're efficient at it. They are actually going to have reading and writing skills that people will pay them to exercise.
Yeah. If people want to have more information about this, if they know someone who wants to learn Braille, how do they go about it, Gary?
I'd like them to give me a call. My name is Gary Wunder, and my phone number is 573-874
Okay.
1774.
1774. And this is the National Federation of the Blind.
Absolutely.
Locally here. So if you know someone who is interested in learning Braille, or you feel should learn Braille, if they're a young person or middle-aged or an older person, we're never too old to learn, are we?
We never are, and it's a great thing to do. It makes you feel wonderful to
Yeah,
learn.
for independence.
Absolutely.
Independence. 874-1774. Gary Wunder, thank you so much for coming by. National
you.
Federation for the Blind. You're always a great guest.
I love
appreciate it. All right? And Happy New Year to you. Tomorrow, Osher Lifelong Learning and Youth Empowerment Zone. Well, that'll be Monday. Have yourself a good weekend. Bye-bye.